We're going through very interesting times, my friends. Ethereum experienced a 22% increase in just one day. I can almost hear you saying this. Sir, what's the big deal about that? I can hear you saying we've been dropping steadily for months. But there's something you need to know. I've just analyzed the past charts. It's a historic surge. I mean, maybe it's happened once or twice in a single day, but it hasn't done this in recent times. Such a sharp rise hasn't occurred. Of course, with Ethereum on the rise, the question of whether this has triggered or will trigger an altcoin rally is being asked a lot. To be honest, last night was another night when I had trouble sleeping because the coins I hold are increasing in value. Like you, I keep refreshing the exchange screen over and over, wondering how much my coins will be worth when I wake up in the morning and I can't fall asleep. Morning came and I woke up. I had fallen asleep at around 1:30 at night. When I checked, I saw the market was just as I had left it at that time. I thought, good, it hasn't dropped. About an hour or two passed. Then there was a new pump, and for 2 consecutive days, Ethereum experienced a record rise of nearly 40%. It was truly a record. Now, some people were left out. They didn't buy during the rise. Now they're asking, which altcoins should we buy? Today, let's take a look at both Ethereum and the altcoin tower. I'll talk about a report related to Bitcoin. There are important developments and which altcoins am I analyzing? We'll discuss all of these. Is the rally starting? Has the bull market arrived? We'll talk about these topics. Let's get into our video. Friends, welcome back to my video. I hope you're having a great day because I think you need to go through it. As I said, Ethereum has surged sharply. Along with Ethereum, Ethereum-based coins have also risen sharply. Ethereum-based coins and tokens like ENS and ENA, to be more precise, have experienced strong increases. Now, if you remember, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I posted a tweet. It had been 100 and 800 days since the M2 increase. I asked, is it Bitcoin's rally day? When? April 17th. Go check the posts. After that, Bitcoin started to rise very significantly. So what is this theorem? Look, there's a chart like this. Now we'll open it up and go through it live together. M2 money supply. They convert the total money supply of all countries into dollars and find a global M2 money supply. How much money is there in the whole world? And when this one starts to increase, you add 108 days on top of it. Bitcoin starts to rise. In other words, Bitcoin follows this chart with a delay of 108 days. So when we look at this, let's go to TradingView. Look, friends, right now I have the Bitcoin chart in front of me. I went to the indicator, typed in money supply, and I'm adding the money supply. Now, let's change the view a bit here. Let's add a 108-day delay. Let's make our chart a blue graph like this. And we've added a 108-day delay. We clicked OK. Now we're going to adjust the chart a bit so that they overlap. And guys, look, let's also increase its thickness a bit. Let's pull this down again. As you can see, it's really fun. Look, the M2 money supply with a 108-day lag almost perfectly overlaps with Bitcoin. Bitcoin reaches its peak 108 days after the M2 money supply peaks. Bitcoin starts to rise 108 days after the M2 money supply begins to increase. And that's exactly what happened. According to my theory, Bitcoin really did start to rise, and if this pattern continues, friends, we could see Bitcoin at $130,000 or more in the summer based on the trajectory of the M2 money supply. But why? What does that mean? When banks and countries start printing money like crazy, Bitcoin begins to function like a digital gold. That protects us from inflation. I've been in this market for almost 10 years. We always dream about this, you know. We say that Bitcoin is digital gold, but every time we end up embarrassed. This time we were right. Bitcoin is truly behaving like digital gold. Friends, we are going through a very interesting period. Economically, the world's most powerful country, the largest country, is America. And America's president, who, in quotation marks, we can call the most powerful person in the world at the moment. He said, I am the most pro-crypto presidential candidate ever. And he really did become president. In other words, the president who has supported Bitcoin the most in history is now the president of the United States. This was a very positive development. However, the biggest goods exchange hack in history also occurred. Assets worth $1.4 billion were stolen, most of which were Ethereum. This is a very significant amount. So whatever happened, after this hack, the market experienced a very serious crash. But guys, it seems like things are starting to recover a bit. Now, I'm going to show you a few charts. Right now, you can see the chart of Ethereum against the dollar on my screen. Look, this is a downtrend, a serious downtrend, and from the point where it breaks this, it takes off like a rocket. At the same time, the Pectra update has also arrived, which is very good. Especially the staking and ETF side is very important for America. It had a positive impact on the price, but what you see here is a completely different rocket. There is a serious rocket here, the true nature of which we will be able to understand better over time. And guys, it's forming 2 very strong green candles in a row. Let me show you a bit more like this. So we're seeing some serious candles. So if it pulls back from here, where is our first support zone? I'm talking about Ethereum. We have a support zone at the $2,100 level, guys. It could bounce from here. It shouldn't lose this level. Ethereum's chart against Bitcoin is actually very important, guys. It was actually experiencing its historical lows. Look, it kept falling very seriously. Falling, and it was in a very significant downtrend. I mean, this wasn't just any downtrend, guys. It finally broke out of it. It gained value against Bitcoin. It showed a very significant reversal. Now, both against Bitcoin and against the dollar, you see this red line here, right? That's the 200-day moving average. What we want is for the price to rise above the 200-day moving average. Then, yes, we can say we're in a safer zone. Right now, we're still in a risky zone, but it's a risky zone where there's hope. So, what does Ethereum's significant rise lead to? It causes our main enemy, dominance, to drop significantly. And when we look at it, it had been in an upward trend for a very long time and experienced a sharp decline. Now, this part here is also really important. That's why I'm going to explain this slowly. Look, this shows Bitcoin's share against the total market, and for 2 consecutive days, it formed red candles, tall red candles. If you pay attention, when was the last time it had 2 such strong consecutive red candles like this? We'll be right back. Recently, it happened in November, and we can say that from the beginning of November to the end of December, there was a significant altcoin or rally. If we see a drop here, like the consecutive sharp declines we saw over there, and if we witness a similar decline here, we could experience a serious altcoin rally heading into this summer. But we still have our checklists. Not all of them have been checked off. So we can say that we're still in a risky zone. So which altcoins should we be following? I will share with you the altcoins that I still think have the potential to rise. However, this is not investment advice. I could be wrong. These coins could also cause losses, but I still think some of them could go up. Of course, I think Bitcoin has room to grow. I also think Doge has potential. Look, Doge has also seriously broken through its resistance level, and it's one of the few major coins like Ethereum that has experienced such a significant rise. Elon is considering using a payment method on X, and through some accounts managed by Elon, it's constantly being shared that this payment method will be done with Doge and that Doge is real money. Or rather, he has his team or friends share this. I'm not sure which. This also broke the downtrend for Doge again. It hasn't managed to get above the 200-day moving average yet, but if it continues like this, it looks like it will catch up to the 200-day moving average, friends. I still think Ethereum has a way to go. Sui is our favorite. I bought it during the pre-sale. I'm planning a gradual sale soon, but it will be a gradual sale like this. Since I bought it at a very low price, I plan to make sales in 5% increments. At the levels of $4.5, $5, $5.5, and $6, I might add 5% at $5, $6, $7, or 3%, 5% to those tiers because I have a lot on hand. But I still think Sui will go up because there's a lot of great talk going around, whether it's about Solana or Ethereum. There are a lot of transactions related to Sui. Its TVL is very high. It's well liked. The community really loves it. What were we saying? We were talking about our raisin cake. That's why Sui also has a chance. Friends, besides this, I'm going to add 2 more projects that are doing serious work. Vana and Bio. One of them is a data project, and the other is a coin related to the biomedical and pharmaceutical industry. Both are projects that I genuinely liked and held in my portfolio. They dropped very sharply because we went through a season where trash projects were trending. But if this season projects that actually do work become the trend and are preferred, we could see good things for Vana and Bio as well, my friends. Now, I want to briefly talk about a report. At the end, I'll wrap up my video. There's a report jointly prepared by Coinbase and Glassnode. I will share with you a few key points from the crypto industry regarding the first quarter of 2025 that I consider important. Spot ETF inflows have exceeded a total of $2.5 billion, and of course, the biggest share of this pie belongs to BlackRock friends. The number of Bitcoin wallets in profit dropped from 75% to 25% in the first quarter. In other words, we actually went through a very tough season. The increase in liquid BTC that we see on exchanges is gradually decreasing. What does this mean? It means that people are actually accumulating Bitcoin and transferring it to their wallets. This also shows that there is still significant buying pressure for Bitcoin in the upcoming period. This could also have a positive impact on the price. Terra Capital says that if major brokerage firms have their clients allocate just 2% to Bitcoin, ETFs up to $765 billion in capital and assets could flow into Bitcoin. And in the first quarter, Solana generated more revenue than all other Layer 1 and Layer 2 chains. We also love Solana. Congratulations to Solana as well. Is the bull market starting? I've experienced bull markets many times before, and here's what I can tell you about it. Usually, this is how things go during bull markets. People say, this rally is fake. We'll probably fall from here. There are always a lot of people saying, I don't think the bull market has started. I don't believe it. And even now, when we look at big accounts, there are still people who really don't believe in the bull market. They might be right, but at the very least, this is still a bullish indicator for us. The summer could go well. We'll confirm and understand this more as we check off more items on our checklist. But right now, a serious Ethereum rally has brought fresh momentum. However, we could experience pullbacks. In other words, we could see sudden 10% drops. We need to be aware of these things. We still can't say that we've risen above the 200-day moving average and that it's a very strong uptrend. But here's what we do know. We used to experience this every year. But I've said several times that we won't experience it this year because we've already had a very bad first quarter. There's a saying, sell in May and go away. In other words, sell in May, leave, and go enjoy your vacation. Are you going to spend time with your family or focus on your education? But there's a saying that goes, sell in May, don't bother with this market. They say this not just for crypto, but also for indices. They say it for the stock market as well. But this time, it didn't happen. And I don't think it will happen either. At the very least, I think May will go well. If you support us, lively and great videos will keep coming. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a comment on the video. Hope to see you in the next video. Take care.